I just decided to talk a little bit this morning about the different ways to practice or wake up. There is the path of Gyan. It's wisdom, words, intellectual understanding, the mind. And there is the path of Bhakti, devotion, love, and karma. Also the path of karma. And of course you can work on all of them. But what I see usually happen is that if you're working on the path of Gyan, you move on one side of the mountain up towards the top, slowly, slowly. You try to understand, you go deeper and deeper into the meanings, and it's very much trying to really deeply understand. Also, self-inquiry is in a way Gyan, where you ask, who am I? But then when you go deep, deep, deep in, you stop and just rest there. And actually, it somehow meets also with Bhakti, with the heart. Because you just stay in the heart. Because you come to the heart by inquiring. So, but if you use the traditional way of Bhakti, you are worshipping a certain deity, certain aspect of the deity, and so you crawl on one side of the mountain, on the devotion and on the wisdom on the other side. And before you reach the top, they will meet. Otherwise you won't meet the top, if they don't meet. Because the path of devotion, of Bhakti, the problem is to go beyond the duality between me and God, me and the divine. That's very difficult. But you have to come into non-duality. So I used to tell the story about that Ramakrishna, he came to this temple outside Calcutta, in Dakshineswar, a temple, and he was only 16 years old, or he was started as a puja boy. And there was a Kali temple, and he fell so much in love with Mother Kali. People could see him crying when he was alone there in front of the Mother Kali, the Murti, the statue of Mother Kali in the temple. He was so devoted to her. And then came an awakened sadhu. Okay, I don't remember his name now. Yeah.
Totapuri.
Totapuri, yeah. No, the mountain is called Kontapuri. It's Totapuri. His name was Totapuri. He was a naked Baba. Those days, if you were really on the path, of course we are not close. Why? It's all Maya. So it was a naked Baba that came to Dakshineswar and saw this young man and said, my God, you have nearly got it, but you're still in this duality. Can I help you the last step? And Ramakrishna said, okay, yes. And when the right time came, Totapuri said, sit down. And Ramakrishna, close your eyes and go in and connect with Mother Kali. And Totapuri was waiting for the situation where he could see Ramakrishna start crying. Because the moment Ramakrishna goes in and start meeting the mother, he cries. And then Totapuri took a piece of stone, sharp stone.
First he asked permission with Mother Kali.
What?
First he said, I have to ask for permission from Mother Kali.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. You are really coming out now. Wow. You used to sit there and jump and holding back. So he took up a stone, a flint stone, and when he could see now Ramakrishna was meeting Mother Kali and was crying. And then he asked, is it okay to kill her? Or I don't really remember what he said. No, he said it before. But then he said this to Topori, when I cut your third eye, cut her head off. Imagine you have a sword in your hand and you chop her head off. And he did. And he was in Samadhi for 2 days. And that was a way, again, to cut the duality. So the path of devotion, it's very difficult to go beyond the duality because you love the object so much. Shiva, Durga, Parvati, whoever you're worshipping, whatever form, Rama, it's difficult to go beyond this duality, me and the God and the goddess. So that is the problem on the path of devotion. You must at one point go beyond this duality. On the path of Gyan, wisdom, the problem is that you don't come into the heart, you stay in your mind and you are bypassing. You go on trying to understand, you go on trying to understand, and there comes a subtle bypassing of the heart that you don't really meet. And also emotions, of course. You bypass it because you all the time, Gyan, 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 Gyan. And we know the story with Ramana Maharshi, that he was very, very devoted to the mountain, to Arunachala, the body of Shiva. But he didn't talk so much about it, but actually he was. And if you read some of his writings, there is some writings about it, that he was also a devotee of Shiva. Arunachala is the body of Shiva, the mountain. So here we go. But they have to connect, otherwise they can't get up. So on path of duality, you have to go beyond duality to get the last piece. And on the path of Gyan, wisdom, you must come into the heart. You must let go of all these words and bypassing. And you meet it again and again. Yeah.